All right, so we are opening application 2366S, two lot subdivision. This is in continuation. But Tom, you said the continuation is going to be continued.
There's a note from them.
Oh, this one right here?
Yeah.
So I'll read it from June 21st, 2023, to whom this may concern. Due to Matt Reed not being able to get the surveying done, I have to postpone until July 2023. Linda DeMar.
Wait, I was waiting in class for that. Sorry, I work from that too.
Oh, okay. Okay, so meeting calendar. July 26th. So we'll reset the application until July 26th. Should we move it back to July 26th? Is that too soon?
That should be fine. We're literally just waiting for the surveys to.
Okay.
Reappear.
Okay.
Everything else.
I wasn't talking about that. Talking about Linda DeMar's, it's a continuation.
I jumped in and answered a question completely out of bounds because I work for Matt Reed as well.
We confused the hell out of it.
I'm sorry, I knew the answer to that.
So if that is reasonable. Do we need a motion on the continuation?
Yeah.
All right, I would need a motion to continue Linda DeMar's subdivision application till July 26th.
Second.
Further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay. And then I guess we can do Nick Minaj, application 2388C, conditional use. This is in continuation. It was questionable as to whether.
I don't know why Nick's not here. I haven't heard anything from him.
I shared the email with the two of you that Seth sent me, right?
Yes.
So Seth, so to update the board, I emailed Seth Jensen at Lamoille County Planning Commission because there was a question as to whether the seasonal dwellings that he was proposing were seasonal rentals, or what was I think the other term was, in dwelling units versus seasonal. Right, and so Seth's take on it was that is the onus is on the applicant to be truthful and state in actually making sure that they remain as seasonal dwelling units. And that's pretty much, all we can ask of the applicant is that in good faith, that that's actually the intended use.
So there is one other option I would like to bring up for the record. It's transfer development rights from some other parcel in town. We did add that into the zoning regulations, subdivision regulations. At this point, 8 years ago or so. There's only certain areas of town that can transfer to areas, but the Route 50 district, I believe any of the rural district could development rights could transfer to there.
Which grants them a density bonus, right?
Yes, well, you can transfer the density. You could basically sign away the property or the development rights on 2 acres somewhere else in town and gain another dwelling unit on that particular parcel.
So would he have to do 12 acres or
To do a full, if you wanted to do all 6 of those, but yes, so I guess he would because he's already making that single family home 2. Unless, well, and it has to be owner occupied to be an accessory dwelling unit. So
I'm assuming he's not moving in there.
So yes, that would be 12 acres.
And so is Nick the one applying or is it Minaj Corp?
It's Nick.
So does he own property, or does the corporation own property, and how does that?
So he doesn't actually have to own the property that he's getting the development rights from. It can be a completely separate third party. But that's just an option.
So since we're probably not gonna see him until next month, we're probably just gonna recess this. Is that something that, do you wanna? Should we put in the minutes? I'm looking at the zoning right now. Is that in, in plan unit development, or is that in?
Through development rights, I'm not sure exactly, but I know we did do that. Probably is in PUD section. Looking through here, I did find out what the graph stating which areas could transfer to which.
I'm looking at it,
Right here.
4.56,
Yeah,
subsection 1.
so to transfer to Route 15 corridor, they could come from shorelines, they could come from rural. And that's about it, I guess.
On that chart, it says. Oh, so it'd have to. Into the originating from.
Right.
So is he the Route 15? Is he designating originating from, or
He's
transfer to?
So the first two lines on there are the only ones that Route 15 corridor is on.
Shorelands and rural.
Yeah, so shorelands or rural, which is rural is most of the town.
Would it be 12 acres of the density for Route 15 is 1 acre per?
Well, you basically transferring a dwelling unit,
Oh, I see. So it has to be, okay.
so.
But those are residential lines, you know, and what PUDs are all about, it's residential about.
Yes,
He's not asking about residential development.
well, I'm just saying that. So these things that he's proposing, these 6 units, the way it sounds, that they met the definition of a dwelling unit, which is a residential. If you wanted to maintain them like that, without these sort of restrictions as to what you can do with them, you could transfer development rights to that area. I don't know if he would be interested in such a thing, but.
We're talking about a 3.5 acre parcel.
That's right. That's what this is all about. This is what these transfers are about. It's transferring development from parts of town that we would rather see conserved to parts of town that can probably handle or we prefer to see developed.
It seemed to be his interest when he was talking about it last year.
Sure, but if you don't know, it's
Well, yeah, he didn't know you couldn't.
So. Entertain a motion to continue this to July, what was it, July 28th? And inform the applicant that section 4.56 be suggested if he would like to possibly have a greater variability in the use as opposed to just seasonal. And of course, if they're just going to be seasonal, then he could continue on. That's kind of a lengthy motion, but.
You know, I was getting the ideas that they were actually looking for places for their workers to live.
That was, you know, I kind of heard maybe that, but maybe, you know, like for snowmobilers, but yeah, I mean,
Well, I think I had asked, besides, if, for example, all of his workers found places and then they're sitting there empty, what would be his intent? Yeah, because I think there are a lot of people on using the rail trail now who would adore the opportunity to stay, in a little cabin. And so, that's why I was kind of wondering if it would be lodging, if he's, if he were setting it up for, like trail keeping.
Right, that's different than long-term rentals or long-term housing for his workers. We're just trying to make it so he has options. And they do meet the definition of a dwelling unit,
Right.
not a motel room,
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I was thinking about, like, those inns and suites that, some don't have kitchens in them, but I think, they're still technically lodging.
Right. And we don't know what kind of regulations they're falling under in their
Right.
particular locations, so I don't know. I mean, just having a microwave in your motel room, does that make it a dwelling unit? Arguably, it does.
What is the other option?
Well, the other options, like Maxfield was saying, that we just tie them to short-term rentals or basically tie it to just lodging, short-term lodging.
and he'd be restricted to that unless he came back for
Right.
another condition. Well, it wouldn't even be another conditional. You'd have the only other rule is the transfer of development rights.
Right.
Who would make a decision on where the transfers come from?
There, page 6, you have the regulations in front of you on page 62,
Yeah.
section 4.56.
Yes.
There is a chart right there that says where the basically the density can originate from and where it goes.
Right, yes, I see the chart. It's just more specifically, wouldn't it have to be tied to a specific parcel?
Yes.
So who would make that determination?
Well, we've got to, it has to have an easement, it has to have a portable plat, which clearly depicts the boundaries of the parcel. It's all kind of laid out here, it's exactly how you do it.
Right, but I mean, would we be telling the applicant that that's his responsibility?
That would be the responsibility to find that plot. and
Okay.
Make those arrangements.
Yeah, that's what I said.
And whether it's worth that for him or anybody else to do that, that's their decision, but they should know about the options.
Mhm. I would make that motion to continue the matter to July 28 and inform the applicant of section 4.56 of the bylaws. And anything else that we need?
I think it's 26. The date.
July 26, yeah. Oh, not 28, sorry,
That was my, like I said, 20th. Yes.
July 26.
Yes, I'll second that motion.
Further discussion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays. Abstentions? Okay. All right, so 6:30 is what we're scheduled for 2391. Do we expect? Should we wait?
What is?
You're here.
6:30. Do we expect anyone else to show up?
Oh, no, not for us, no.
All right, well, we can start 5 minutes early and then if people show up, I guess we can sort of fill them in on this. All right, so we're opening application 2391, sketch plan review, Robert Knowlton. This is
It's the big stack that's all.
right here.
Mr. Knowlton was approved.
So I'm going to swear you in first, just because you're going to testify, both of you. All right, do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth to the best of your knowledge under the pains and penalties of perjury? Okay,
Mr. Knowlton previously applied for the subdivision. It was approved, got sick, couldn't turn in the Mylar in time. It got denied. We're back on the table to see if we can get reapproved.
okay. And I actually saw my name on a signature on this thing from 2011.
So the Mylar,
I vaguely remember this.
Well,
so this Mylar is for 8 lots. He wants to stick with 7 lots. That's what the paper wants. That's what the way.
So this is the new one,
It's not new.
minus 1 lot.
Yeah, it's newer than the Mylar.
Reconfigured and lot 8 is gone.
And the one that you have your hand on, paper copy aligns with the wastewater -1 permit, which is also somewhere in that step.
Okay,
Here, I've got it.
These
These are the previously recorded and then denied permits.
and because the Mylar wasn't submitted within.
We can make a Mylar paper copy. Unfortunately, Mr. Peatman is deceased, so we can't get him to buy this one.
This keeps coming.
So where was lot 8? Was it part of lot 7?
The Mylar with lot 8 on it is right underneath that stack. Yeah,
The lot 7 is. Lot 8 is part of lot 7 and part of lot 5 now, if I'm not mistaken.
but Roy also just pointed out to me that on the survey where it says right of way to lot 7, the Dean Walker engineering actually indicates that if
That's not a right of way, it's part of the acreage, it's part of lot 7, it's not right of way.
even though I know it's awkward.
Nobody else has a right access to that lot from me, so that's a blunder of detail on the survey. But we presume you have in your file full-size copy of the. We do not have one in our file.
Is there anything with the shape of this lot 7 that would be worrisome?
The shape isn't the frontage of.
Yeah. Yeah, so that. I'm not entirely sure. The rules stated at the time, but I think it was still.
Recording.
Now there's
50. This one is what I'm talking about. But I do realize that there were several subdivisions that I was aware, or at least one other that I was aware of. That was subdivided with 50 feet. In that time frame.
Yeah, because the standard rule has been till Long County Planning Commission decides to get into the act of writing your rules for you. But you have frontage or 50 feet right away. And this is not a right of way in this case, it's just mislabeled, but it's
So I've been on the planning commission since. It was before 2008, I'm not sure exactly when. But it's always been. You can have a 50-foot access, whether you own it or it's a right of way or anything. To a pre-existing landlocked parcel. But you can't create a new parcel with just a 50-foot access.
But that access is legal access to another parcel.
But it still doesn't have 150 feet of road frontage on a public or private road.
I haven't looked at any of the adjoining towns recently, see what it is. All the rest of them was either had frontage or the deeded right of way. And that was. That's. Once you get all set. That's okay.
So the other thing is, I'm not sure how that lot made it through that configuration. Yeah, just the road frontage. It's a rule.
Would you be willing to offer a suggestion as to a better configuration or more amicable? configuration?
You could actually put a road, is that 50 foot, that access these conditions work then. Yes. Anything. One would need 150 feet of road frontage on.
So in this case, 6 and 5 could get their access from that right of way and it counts.
So that still doesn't address the road frontage of lot 7.
Okay.
To do something like that, you would actually have to make a road coming up through here. And from here, actually extend it another 150 feet.
Would it be preferable to just extend all of these back? Make it into 6 lots that all go from?
You can. You could do like what you were saying that you might do earlier, is like combine either this with this or this with this, or for that matter, this with any one of those.
Sure.
I don't, so we consider just a waiver of that.
Well, we could consider that.
I mean, rather than or something.
Yeah.
What's the use of these lots with this drop off? Very different levels there.
Well,
I think the definition of usable lot is pretty. Like, I mean,
well, you've got 189 feet of depth. 185, that's probably the shallowest one. This seems like that would be usable. Well, they have to be back 25 feet from the road.
Excuse me. You can see it very busy in the front here, but we do have engineered wastewater.
Yeah, I mean. Put them all in there. And maintain the distances from the property lines and the road, that's, I think as far as we know on it.
what did you see on the bottom of that, Bruce? Sorry.
Oh, it was in the minutes of that meeting way back.
Oh, yeah, so.
It's from that subdivision.
Yeah, so it was a motion by Bradley, Alan, second by John Phelps. To present a new survey that eliminates lot number 8, which is done. It lays out a private road to access lots 5, 6, and 7.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And then that's item 1. The second one, it just references that, that no new lot shall be created without legal access onto a public or private highway. The proposed access road to lot 5, 6, 7 must meet the access requirements contained in the Wolcott Highway Standards ordinance and to obtain a town access permit prior to development.
So it sounds like that's exactly what we're talking about here.
It is.
Okay.
Does that file have a full-size engineering plans? Map, but it's a little hard to read.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's to a road, it's easier to eliminate.
This is the right one.
Well, if they want. It sounds like the original minutes were.
Yes.
But. That's the extent. Yeah, but. Frontage. Which is, I don't know if that's what this is here. Probably is. I mean, it's 81 feet between these two. I don't know. So this is the logging.
This is the one we're submitting. This is similar, but this doesn't have 8.
It's kind of a funky shape. So, I'm not sure how you get a regularly shaped lot. At the road frontage.
Meaning here.
Well. So this is what, 28 feet deep, yeah. It would actually have to extend up here some, but then you can get it here.
Right, okay. Is that okay to not have it on the road frontage, the shape?
Well, if at the road frontage, it has a regular, you could regularly shape.
Oh, I see. Yeah. This would become the road here.
Yeah, it would have to extend up into here, or turn around here, or something. Which makes a really long, expensive road. Top of a bank here of some sort.
Very. Really see what they're talking about.
Yeah. That's some of these things for you guys to consider a waiver of that rule. Lot 7.
When he's asking for a waiver,
Road frontage, and I think we did.
Well, because it's a pre-existing subdivision. That would be the only reason. Well,
Sounds like a slippery slope.
Well, part of the problem is, you've got to understand, we have various push and pull. We got pull, groups trying to push for affordable housing. And then we've got overlapping jurisdictions between the state, the town, and we got the regional planning commissions with their little magic soup. And it all costs money. And everybody wrings their hands about, well, the working class can't afford anything. And yet people try to do this. And we keep throwing these regulations in the way, and it's an impediment, and it costs money. And I'd like to see boards grapple with that locally and leave some of the state guys, you know, we have to deal with them on our own, but you know, they say, you gotta bring in affordable housing. You turn around and say, just try it. And
Well, I don't see that a lot. I mean, it's not like we're talking about urban affordable housing. You're talking about having smaller lots. to
Well,
make it more affordable?
I mean, this minimum acreage is idiotic. Lots ought to be judged on the ability to support the proposal. Water supply, wastewater access.
I understand what you're saying.
Minimum acreage zoning is New Jersey designed and imported all across New England. And, you know, the town I grew up in, I graduated high school, they passed zoning, 10-acre lots, they're preserved this time. 15 years later, oh, children are growing up, oh, 5 acres is just right, so they cut the lots in half. Now they're acre lots. And it's strip development at its worst.
I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. It's just that we have, I'm just saying, we have regulations by which we need to.
And you have the ability
Until things
to waive these.
Well,
That's what the DRB is to evaluate and consider and accept.
I think that should be the town and not.
Then we
a couple
don't,
of people.
if we're gonna do it at town meeting, we don't need this board.
Can I ask a question?
What would the house, so a long driveway or whatever, what would be the typical house that might go there? But it's not affordable, right?
Well, I really nothing for these days.
Right, but it's,
If your argument is affordable, then why not sign something that states that you'll build affordable housing on this law?
We're selling lots to people, but my plans
So,
are not.
so put a restriction on the deed that says. Well, that, if your argument is affordability.
Okay, let me put it this way, houses that I built from the mid-70s until the last house I built was about 5 years ago. I built, the houses I built for $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 are selling $300,000, same house. They resell, so affordable house back when I was building those was that, and apparently the $300,000 house is affordable. But tell that to some of the working class around here.
but if you wanted 8 housing units in town, you know, and you had the question of, do we do 7 or do we 8 in this location? And we want affordable housing, would you put them there if you had the choice between 7 and 8? Why not do 7?
That's, we kind of like the buyer to make the choice. You know,
But then you get,
maybe they don't want to live in Wolcott, maybe they want to live in Hardwick, maybe they want to live in Morrisville. But,
but you can't, I
At the
mean,
end of
but
the
then
day,
you end up with a lot of very expensive houses in this area, which I don't, think would be very expensive taxes for the town.
theoretically,
But
expensive houses come in, they support the lower.
is it going to be a nasty way to get to that lot if you have to go that? Is it something?
It's not bad, I mean, it's an existing woods road. I've been involved in that subdivision since 1975. So I've logged it, I've subdivided, I've sold it, I've bought lots, I've developed lots.
How long has the 150-foot been in place?
2008.
Okay.
And before, it was when I first, at least when I first got on board. I think before that, it was 90 feet and 1 acre. And the reason I got on the board is because the planning commission at the time wanted to make 5 acre minimum lot size, anything more than 500 feet off the road, 15 acre. And I thought that was excessive for the reasons that Roy brings up, affordability, and now you're just carving the whole town up and just putting houses, 5 acres apart. They might as well be right tight together as far as forestry or any other use of land other than residential. But yeah, so that was one of the compromises that we made. It wasn't so much about the word frontage. I don't think anybody really cared about 150 feet, 90 feet was way too narrow. But the 2 acres was, that's what the state bases or homeowner rebate on. Your taxes are based on 2 acres, not 5 acres or 15 acres.
And to be fair, the original submission in 2011, so that would have pre-existing condition for the original. I had a question for you. What, in terms of the regulations through which you have to buy, what would you change on that plan as presented in order to provide that?
Well, as far as waiving, the frontage.
I'm asking it as an alternative to the waiver.
Then ignorance, so it works.
In other words, change it again.
Yeah.
Get rid of the number lot.
Well, basically extend the road into the lot so you have the road frontage that you need.
Yeah, but that's stupid.
Well, it is, but that's what our rules. If we waive it for this lot,
But like I said, the purpose of the development review board is to consider applicants' applications against the written rigid code. And you do have the right to waive certain things case by case basis.
we do, but that's in the cases of something that's causing you a hardship for a landowner, so he cannot develop his property. It's not
extraordinary
the
hardship.
maximum. It's not the maximum of the number of lots.
I see it differently. It's what makes economic sense for property owners, future property owners, and whatnot. So, but otherwise, like I'm gonna have a board, we just post the rules and tell people to read them. If they follow in, you're good. Now I'm giving a permit. Anything otherwise, the hell with it.
Actually, that's actually the way it should be. It's as simple as that, really.
But that's pretty rigid.
Well, it is, but there's cases, like I say, if somebody had a wall of ledge on one part of their property, so they had to go around it or something like that. That's what the board is for, is to review things like that. I mean, in this case, because it's a pre-existing subdivision, that's a whole another thing for us to consider, I do.
Was it a pre-existing, is it a pre-existing?
It was approved by one of your previous boards.
Well, but
And
this
then our client apparently dropped the ball for whatever reason. We weren't involved at the time. We picked it up at this level, but
There's no, it's a whole bunch of conditions. Does this apply to that particular?
well, the condition that Tom confirmed this or otherwise, but he failed to bring the Mylar in 180 days.
There was another condition on here, that road be
Right, there could be a road and all I see is a driveway.
Okay. May I get a copy of that?
we're functioning a little bit of a handicap. Picking it up in the middle.
So is it fair to leave this at, if we're willing to engineer and construct a road that meets conditions? The configuration as it stands would be okay? Or should I say the configuration is not okay with doing a road?
Well, but to make the configuration okay, you have to get that road there far enough and in such a place that you can basically have a minimum sized lot, which is 2 acres
Right.
of the dimensions that we require, which is a lot 4 times as long as it is wide, that butts up against that road.
Or reconfigure and drop the 7th block.
I think we're at an impasse. We're done for that.
You have any other questions or comments? So since this is a sketch plan review, it's not an actionable.
I'm really consider recommendation that we do. The good layout.
I know what we gotta do, we gotta give up a lot, reconfigure these, hire a new surveyor, because the surveyor is dead, so my guys gotta spend another $20,000. And that was not affordable. And I know it's not your money. That all goes into the cost of these people doing stuff. And I just don't see why you can't exercise your ability to do waivers and variances. That's what this board is for. When I was on the boards, I was willing to do that a lot. Of course, I got voted down a lot, but
So actually, the waiver that I would entertain in lot number 7 is that it is not a buildable lot. That it becomes a wood lot or common land or whatever.
we should need lot 7 to the town. Take it off the tax list.
So you would consider a waiver if lot 7 was not a developable lot?
I would. I'm not saying everybody else here would.
That's
It doesn't need 150 feet of road frontage to be recreational land or woodland or anything. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think we're looking at item 2 under the waivers mostly here, this requirement or standard, which we're talking about as the frontage. It's saying that it's inappropriate due to ordinary or unnecessary hardship that may result from strict compliance with the regulation. Which when the hardship results from subdivision design, it's different than when you're talking about like pre-existing land features, and that's kind of what I think Jim is.
Exactly, that's exactly.
like I said, I think we're done with that.
I could be.
Until we have our client decide he wants to do anything or not. But thanks for giving it a go.
Thank you.
Tom, we don't need to recess this, the
No, we're not gonna recess. We're
liaison
gonna
has
recess.
really.
Now, you just need to submit a plan that goes through our regulations and not have to waive everything. It's that simple.
Yeah, maybe we should get some people on the planning commission to change the rules.
There's probably slots available.
I mean, that's how it's done. You get somebody pissed off, they join the board, they push, pull, and change it. And then somebody else comes along and a developer review board is to evaluate regulations to determine what makes sense. I've yet to see one that will actually use their power unless it's some important personage in town. I've seen that over and over again. If it's the right person, we have this.
Why do you have the impression that we wouldn't want to increase our grant list by 7 lots?
I have no idea why you wouldn't want to do that.
We would, or I would.
Apparently not.
We just have to follow the regulation. You're
You need to evaluate the regulations and weigh in on it. But you're the judge and jury.
And
And
that
yet-
sense of
And yet,
precedent,
and yet you say,
You did.
then we have to
we
move
can't-
it into the
We're done. We're done with it. Thank you for your time on that, but I've got another old one that I wanted to throw at you. I don't have an appointment for it. It was approved by the state. One of your taxpayers wants to buy it. And it's a 9-lot subdivision on Richard Wolcott Road. And we were right up to getting it approved at one point when my then client, Carol Lawrence, decided to pull the plug. You want to do golf courses on that? We've done nothing, and one of the neighbors is approaching him about buying it. Wanted to know whether or not this is worth pursuing.
These were lots.
Wetlands have been delineated, setbacks have been done.
It's a private road.
Flat ponds in place.
This is a different subdivision we're looking at.
This is Carol Lawrence is on Richard Wolcott Road.
Is he not a road from?
We were in here, the last time we were in here, I think was 2008. And my
We did a
mistake was,
sidewalk on it. Remember that?
We can't hear you.
We did a sidewalk on this. We actually went up there.
yeah, we did those.
Yeah, you remember that one? It's like the loop road that goes around.
It's the old gravel pit.
So that was approved years ago, but your question.
No, we got the 5 lots approved and he sold all those and then subsequently, we came in and did this 9 lot. And we
Nine
were,
lots, in that gravel?
okay, well,
I have to deal with these little lots all the time. People can't do anything because of water and septic shields and setbacks and property lines, and people want variances to do this and that. They don't work.
we got the state permit for the wastewater and potable water. They do work.
So is this proposed here that we're looking at?
Which is no.
And that's what the state has approved, and I have this in front of the bin board. Carol, the last minute, we're in our final approval, and he decided to want to do golf.
This wasn't part of this hearing.
This is a way.
Now, this is just, is it worth coming in with that, or do you see any problems with it?
I'm having a little trouble understanding. Is that a road? Where the road is and what the road frontage is?
Okay, now let's see. This is Richard Wolcott Road. This is a 5-lot subdivision that's all sold out. This house being built here. It's right, John Ford, these 2 lots, 4 and 5. We're in the middle. He gets that one done, he's gonna build another one. Lot 6 was all the rest of this. Subsequently, lot 6 has now become lots 6, 7, 8, 9. Through lot 14, so 9 more lots. This road, these roads are actually again. And there's another road here. This road are all.
So what is the road frontage for this one? Okay. How many feet of frontage is that? Is that 92? That's something different?
That's what it looks like.
Well, those aren't even,
Well, as I said, these are, they changed the rules apparently since then, but
well, this one's 89. When I moved to Wolcott, like 1983, it was 90 feet. God, you're old.
no, this was on the cusp of, we were in our final throw at the time. Yeah, we decided you wanted it, you know.
So we should have gone.
Did you do this? Did you do the golf course?
No, it's funny. So very,
You only did a golf
When
course
you have the
here.
chance.
all right, so you, so
I don't think this will fly. I don't think this will fly. Not sure what the road frontage of the rest of these is. You know, that's what I'm looking into.
I don't.
We got
150 feet.
See, where he's on that.
When did 150 feet?
15 years, before 2008.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a.
They're 88, that's 16, right?
Well, we did something before that. It was,
In the middle.
yeah, yeah. So that was, 88 was the original. Most recently amended.
Oh, okay.
So I think there was 12 and there was one before that, yeah, right, but.
Well, I'm pretty sure that when we were doing this, it was met the thing, so we wouldn't have done it. We wouldn't have gone this far.
Oh, I don't
But,
know.
but that's what I was throwing it out. This is what I have. What you're saying is we got to go with 100.
2006.
Yeah.
So that's the one I would have been at. And that's where. It's certainly up to 50 feet by then.
I can watch her.
Can't believe it. But, of course, I can't get a copy of the survey. The people saying this stuff is all locked up, but.
Oh, no, really? To get rid of it? Sorry.
You can't get it to stop.
Oh. Well, you have to register Mylars.
But I can.
It's all the good stuff. It's not.
The engineering plans.
Most of it's not working.
And, we'll figure it out. All right, that's all I need on that. Thank you. You might still get stuff.
Do we have any other business? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Mentions.
Thank you all for your time.